I want to spend a few minutes here and talk about what drives management commitment to safety. When we look into the mind of management and ownership of a business, what are the things that will cause them to do some things towards safety that other organizations won't do? And I've got some things keyed up here just for discussion. One is an incident or an injury, some sort of a catastrophic event that might occur within the workplace that causes management to get committed to safety. It's an aha moment that occurs where all of a sudden they have an experience and they say, you know, I really don't want that to happen again. I've actually stood in front of a funeral home with a gentleman who was a client of mine at the time, and we had a mutual business contact whose son had passed, and we were about to walk into the funeral home, and he was standing outside very nervous and shaking and smoking a couple of cigarettes and trying to calm down before he walked in. And I said, hey, Jeff, what's going on? What's troubling you? And he said, every time I walk into these places, I have to think about the day that I was at the wake for one of my workers who fell at work and died. He had a worker fall 50 feet out of an aerial lift and died on impact. And he says, every day every time I walk into these, I think about the day where I had to walk by that guy's widow, knowing that I could have done more to save that person from dying at work. I don't want to start this out very heavy, but that is definitely something that will drive management commitment. And if we can get that locked in before that event occurs, we can really avoid those types of incidents from occurring. So definitely a motivator. Another point that we see motivate managers and owners of businesses to get committed to safety is some of the metrics around safety that get measured and then are negative. Things like the DART rate, which is the days away restricted or transferred work rate, that relates to your OSHA record keeping. All of your OSHA record keeping can be benchmarked against your industry using your NAICS code and information that's available on the BLS, that's Bureau of Labor and Statistics, BLS.gov website. They keep track of sample data from all the different industries, and you can actually benchmark your company against others in your industry to see how well you're doing. Your EMR, for those who are not aware of that number, it's your experience modification rate, and that's utilized by your insurance carrier to determine how much or how little you will pay for workers' compensation insurance. That is a major cost for many businesses. It's a large portion of your overheads, and we want to make sure that we maintain a good safety program, because if that gets out of control, management will have to get committed to safety just to get that number back into control. Another item that drives management commitment would be morality. We'd like to think that this is a large motivator, and in my 18 years of experience, I can tell you that oftentimes it's almost sickening how little this plays into a company becoming motivated towards safety. We ought to be concerned about the people that come to work with us or work for us, just as if they were a family member or a child of ours. We wouldn't want to see them get hurt at work, but unfortunately that's often overlooked. We can do some things to try and help motivate management by bringing this to the forefront, but it is all too often not a very good motivator, unfortunately. OSHA. So we used to say that the bigger stick than OSHA was the insurance carrier, because OSHA was not very strong going back prior to the Obama administration. Not a political comment in any way, but this current administration has given OSHA a lot of power, and OSHA is definitely back in the enforcement business, to quote their interim director when he first took over. They are back in the enforcement business and driving a lot of enforcement activity. It is an extreme motivator, and if it's not, it should be. We have companies that are really being targeted and taken to task by OSHA in a big way. So very extreme motivator. Next one is rising workmen's compensation insurance costs. I touched on this a little bit with the EMR, but these costs can be significant, and when they start to rise, management will take notice, as it does impact the bottom line directly. There are many others These are just a sampling of some of the ones that we see as pretty typical.